Hey everyone, and thanks for wanting to listen to We'll Never Ghost You. Though things are a little different this week. As you know, there's an incalculable amount of pain, frustration, and sorrow in the Black community right now. We thought it would be best to step aside this week and shine our modest spotlight on a Black creator. The podcast is called Rantin with Nique. I hope you get something out of it, and I encourage you to listen to his other shows and subscribe. Take care.
If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Welcome to the first episode of Rantin with Nique, and this is your host, Nique. It's only right to make my first episode about the tragedy that just happened with Mr. Ahmaud Arbery. Prayers go out to him and his family and anyone directly affected by the situation in America, because we're affected by the situation. My episodes of this podcast will be short. The purpose is to give you guys raw, natural feelings about current events, from politics to sports, on things that are happening. None of this stuff is going to be scripted. I'm not preparing notes. I'm not doing none of that. I want y'all to feel what I get instantly. Now, situation that happened today, speaking to my friend Cam, we went to college together. Shout out Cam. It was a predominantly white school. We both ran track and played basketball together. Now, I went to high school. It was here in Columbia, South Carolina. It was basically the same way. Now, I called him this morning to ask him was he good, because I saw the heat he was catching from a status or a post, I should say, on Facebook that he posted. Now, my timeline on, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook is pretty mixed, so I get to see both sides when it comes to issues like this. The post that Cam posted was question for the white folks on my timeline. What are you doing to make sure that you're raising children who won't kill mine? Now, simple question. I don't see any hate behind it, racism, or any of that. It's a question. Which also makes me think about one of the reasons why I've toned down my engagement on social media over the years. I like to argue, and I'm very argumentative and picky, and I pay attention to detail pretty well when it comes to speaking. So a lot of people don't know how to just talk about what you're talking about. They always have to bring something else in. Not trying to go off topic here. Example, Jordan debates and LeBron debates, and you could post something like LeBron is the best player in the world, and somebody would be like, no, what about Jordan? Well, no, what about Kobe? What about, people don't like to talk about what you may have just said. They, like I said, they like to bring in different points to try to switch up what you initially are trying to say. It's never, people never really answer you directly when it's something that they don't want to speak about directly. I think a lot of people bring their own feelings into arguments versus just answering the question. So, Cam just said you got to ask these days. So I screenshotted 2 comments that I read under here that I want to talk about. A young lady commented, question for the men on your timeline. What are you doing to make sure that you're raising a son that won't physically abuse or murder my daughters through domestic violence? You can't take the situation a million different ways and be united as a country and fight for justice together, or you can be small-minded, such as this post, and put all white Americans into one category. Now, I'm going to be nitpicky on this, and y'all let me know if I'm reaching, as we like to say. All right, that is a great question, but Cam wasn't asking that. And the post wasn't asking that. I would like to assume as a parent, if we're in a country that, you know, you do go to jail for doing wrong things, you get in trouble for breaking the law, you would think that we would teach our kids not to do these things so they don't end up in jail. So I have a son. I tell him these things. He's 7. Hey man, no hitting girls. This is wrong. You don't do that. You don't say that. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. That's simple. So I'll answer that question for you. Then for you to follow up and say he's being small-minded and we're putting all white Americans into one category. That comment, we're putting all white Americans into one category, suggests that there are different categories, right? So what are the different categories? Maybe the post was speaking to one of those categories that you already know that is out there, because you're saying you're putting all of them into a one category. So what are the other categories? Now, again, I say, great question, but this isn't what this post is asking. But to answer your question, I'm teaching my son, but that's not what was asked here. So, I didn't engage. I would have said to her, hey, there's nothing behind this that I'm trying to start issues or anything. I agree with the question because I want to simply ask, is this being taught? Is like how we are taught to move a certain way in society based off of our skin color, based off of, hey, you can't do this. Hey, you can't do that. It's not a racist question. There's no hate behind it. So it's just a question of what are you doing in your household to tell your kids that, hey, this may not be a good idea. Hey, you can't do this. You can't do that. I was speaking with a friend today about how I remember when we were in school, kids of different colors saying the N-word, it was wrong. I've seen people punch people in the face for saying the N-word. I don't see that anymore. It's socially acceptable now. So can I assume that it was taught when I was in school that that's a word you shouldn't say? And it's not now because it's in music, it's on movies, or it's just a word, or man, that's old. Well, they're trying to say slavery didn't really happen. But anyway, answer the question. So the next comment I saw that I want to talk about is, it was a gentleman. He says, Cam, this post is trash. So you're assuming I'm raising my daughter to kill your child. That's literally what you're saying after posting this. I'm going to unfollow and unfriend you. But this shit, especially being a lieutenant in the Army, is ridiculous. All right. And congrats, by the way, Cam, on your promotion to lieutenant too, bro. So with Cam being in a leadership role, it's an issue for him to bring up an issue and want to have dialogue about what's happening. that sounds like something that a leader would do. You have to ask these hard questions for the issues to not happen. Now, I'll say this. I did see a lot of people of different races say that under here too, that, hey, these are the questions we got to ask. I don't see anything wrong with it. And there were some people of different races that had explained to them what they were doing with their kids. And they were just basically saying, stuff like, we're teaching them to love everybody. Don't do wrong to anyone. Yes, that's what you should do. But to say the post is trash and you're assuming I'm raising my daughter to kill your child, I didn't see that in this post. It's a question. What are you doing to make sure that you're raising children who won't kill mine? Now, another thing, we all know why this question was asked, because of the situation that happened. So let's speak directly to the situation. It was a father and his son that chased this man. So the kid was only doing what daddy told him to do, or what he was taught to do. Yeah, he could have said, no, I ain't with that, pops. But that's what's crazy. It was a father, somebody that should know better, and his child. They are arrested as of now, and we all hope that justice is served, but that's crazy. Now, I want to hear y'all thoughts on this post and what was said here today. Like I said, these gonna be quick episodes. They'll be posted randomly throughout times. I'm up all the time. Sometimes I'm up at 3 a.m, up to 1. Sometimes I stay up 24 hours. I don't know, maybe I need to get that checked out, but yeah, man, I just want, for me, what I want to see happen, we have to have these conversations so it doesn't happen. We know we're not going to abolish hate as a whole 100%, but these are the questions that have to be asked to progress. And it happens in every sector of what is looked at as wrongdoing and hate. When we look at, I don't like comparing stuff, but if we use the same model that we use on other wrongdoings and other forms of hate and murder, anything from crime on up, these hard questions are asked to be able to be progressive and to move forward. For example, let's speak about the LGBTQ plus community. There were some hard questions that had to be asked in regards to how we would deal with the handling of, trans and gay and bisexual people maneuvering in our communities. You had the states that made it okay for trans to use the bathroom of what they identify for. That is a hard question a hard topic to talk about. If I'm identifying as something, I should be able to use that bathroom. Now, let's have that discussion. What does this lead to? Is that okay? Is that not okay? You have that talk. If I'm a man, if I'm born a man and I have surgery to change my organs, I'm a woman now. And should I be able to play women's sports in high school? That's a hard question. But at the end of the day, you have to come up with something. The law that initially protected that father and that son, and the other party, people was recording, was an old citizens arrest law. Georgia is in the South. So citizen's arrest. He looked suspicious. He met the criteria or the description of somebody that had been breaking in the houses in that community. So now he has to worry about the cops and citizens. That's crazy, man. Like I said, we just all need to love each other, teach our children how to maneuver. We need to have a conversation about what's wrong and what's right. It's funny because, and I'm gonna wrap it up here. I'm getting right up to 15 minutes. I seen I always see this trend pop back up every year, and people say, man, this was so funny, but it was cool. It was, people of different races speaking about the things that people like stereotypes, and they made a joke and dialogue about it, like, just one example, like it was a white guy that asked, why do y'all put ranch on everything or hot sauce on everything? It's not like that. And then the guy explained it, and then he said, why do y'all put raisins in potato salad? And then he said, bro, not all white people do that, but that don't sound bad. It was a funny dialogue. Maybe we should have something like that. A open dialogue, the meeting of just all meet the people that you look at as leaders, and they all meet and we figure out what's going on. That may sound crazy, it may not. But, all right, y'all. I'm done ranting. Have a good day. Life is about purpose, and nothing is better than putting purpose behind your hobbies and things that you love to do on your own. I rant a lot, talk a lot, ramble a lot. So why not start a podcast? Rant with Nique podcast will be a podcast brought to you of short episodes of random thoughts on life's topics, from politics, sports, and everyday life. Follow me on Instagram at Messy803. Inbox me with topics, ads, products, and services you would like for me to promote on episodes. I plan on making this a big deal by sharing it across all social media platforms. Thank you and stay tuned.